Let me start with a number that stopped me cold when I first read it. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Not people without jobs, not people who dropped out of school. Working Americans, people doing exactly what they were told to do. And that's the thing. Most of us were handed the same script growing up. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job with benefits. Sound familiar? Of course it does. It's practically the American motto. But here's what nobody tells you. That script, it was written to make you a great employee, not a wealthy person. There's a massive difference. And today, we're going to talk about it. Because this one idea, this single concept from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has changed the way millions of people think about money. Here it is. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich make money work for them. That's it. That's the whole game. But let's break down why, because understanding this isn't just interesting. It's life-changing. So Kiyosaki starts the book with a story. He's 9 years old, living in Hawaii, and he wants to be rich. He and his best friend Mike, they're both tired of being broke kids while the richer kids in town go to the beach club and do all the fun stuff. So little Robert walks up to Mike's dad, who he'll later call Rich Dad, and says, "Can you teach us how to make money?" Now, Rich Dad doesn't sit them down and draw up a PowerPoint. He doesn't give them a book. He does something unexpected. He puts them to work. He has them stock shelves in his little store for 3 hours every Saturday. And guess what he pays them? 10 cents an hour. That's it, 10 cents. After a few weeks, young Robert is furious. He feels exploited. He goes to Rich Dad and says, "This isn't fair. You're not paying us enough." And Rich Dad smiles, because that's exactly what he was waiting for. He says, "Good, now you're thinking." He explains that most people spend their whole lives waiting for a raise. They let fear of not paying rent, fear of losing their job, drive every decision they make. And that fear keeps them in a trap. He calls it the rat race. Picture this. A rat sees cheese. It runs toward it, gets it, eats it. Then what? It needs more cheese, so it runs again, and again, and again. That's what most of us do with money. You get a paycheck, you pay your bills, you want nicer things, you work more hours, you get a little raise, your lifestyle gets bigger, your bills get bigger, you need another raise. Round and round you go. Here's the thing. Most people don't even realize they're in the rat race because society tells us it's normal. It's what responsible adults do. Kiyosaki's poor dad, his biological father, was a brilliant man. PhD educated, became the head of education for the state of Hawaii, but he was always broke. Always said things like, "I can't afford that," or "money isn't everything." His rich dad, Mike's father, never finished 8th grade, but he became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. And he never said, "I can't afford it." He asked, "How can I afford it?" See the difference? One is a statement that closes your mind. The other is a question that opens it. Here's where it gets deep and, honestly, a little uncomfortable. Kiyosaki says the number one thing that keeps people trapped is not laziness. It's not even lack of education. It's emotion. Specifically, fear and greed. Think about it. Monday morning comes, you don't want to go to work, but you think about the bills, the mortgage, the credit card, and fear kicks in. So you go. You get your paycheck, you feel good. Maybe you treat yourself. New shoes, a nice dinner, a gadget you've been eyeing. That's greed, or really just desire, kicking in. Then, the money's gone, and the cycle repeats. Kiyosaki says most people never stop to think clearly about money because they're constantly reacting to these two emotions. Fear pushes them to work, desire pulls them to spend, and the bank, the government, the boss, they all benefit from you staying in that loop. He describes two workers, same salary. One is scared of being fired, so never asks a raise, never takes risks, works hard hoping someone will reward him someday. The other thinks, what can I learn here? What skills can I build? How do I make this job work for me? One is working for money, The other is using the job as a stepping stone.
Okay, here's where Rich Dad drops the knowledge that blew my mind the first time I heard it. He says, rich people acquire assets. Poor people acquire liabilities, but they think they're assets. Now, what's an asset and what's a liability? Here's the simple version, and I mean simple. Kiyosaki boils it down to this. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Let me make that real with actual numbers. Say you buy a rental property for $250,000. You put 20% down, that's $50,000. The rent coming in every month is $1,800. Your mortgage, taxes, and maintenance around $1,200. That's $600 a month in your pocket every single month, whether you show up to work or not. That is an asset. Now your car. You finance a $45,000 truck. Monthly payment $650. Insurance $180. Gas, $200. It loses 20% of its value in the first year alone. You're bleeding over $1,000 a month for something worth less every single day. That is a liability. Same dollar amounts, completely opposite direction of money flow. A stock that pays dividends? Asset. A business that runs without you? Asset. Your house while you're still paying a mortgage? Kiyosaki, and this is where people get fired up, says it's a liability until it pays you. Now here's the crazy part. When most people get a raise, what do? They buy a bigger house, a nicer car, more stuff. Their liabilities grow, their expenses grow, and even though their income went up, they're no better off than before. The rich, on the other hand, when they make more money, they buy more assets, and those assets generate more income, which buys more assets, and on, until the money machine runs itself. So how do you actually make this shift? How do you stop being the rat? Rich Dad gave young Robert this advice. Don't work for money, work to learn. He told Robert, don't take the job that pays the most, take the job that teaches you the most. Learn sales, learn accounting, learn how businesses operate, learn how money moves, because knowledge is the real asset. Robert actually went and worked for free at a law office just to learn how legal structures protect wealth. He worked in sales because he knew he needed to overcome the fear of rejection. He studied investing even when he had no money to invest. He was building his financial education while everyone else was just building a paycheck. And here's a real-world example of what this looks like. Take two people, Jordan and Taylor. Jordan graduates college, gets a $60,000 job, buys a nice apartment, leases a car, goes on vacations, feels good. But at the end of the year, zero savings, zero investments. Taylor graduates college, gets the same $60,000 job, lives with roommates, drives an old car, and puts $1,000 a month into index funds, saves toward a rental property with a partner, and builds a small side business. 5 years later, Taylor has assets working around the clock, even while she's sleeping. 10 years down the road, Jordan is still trading time for money. Taylor is starting to have choices Jordan doesn't. Same starting point, completely different mindset. Here's what Kiyosaki wants you to walk away with from this first chapter. School teaches you how to be a good employee. It teaches you how to work hard, follow instructions, and get paid for your time. But nobody teaches you how money actually works. Nobody teaches you that assets and liabilities, nobody teaches you that the goal isn't to earn more, it's to own more. The rich don't work for money because they've built systems, investments, businesses, real estate that work for them. They woke up one day and said, I'm not going to be the rat, I'm going to own the maze. And the beautiful thing? That decision is available to anyone willing to change the way they think. I want to leave you with something practical, not theory, actual homework. When I first did this exercise, I pulled up my bank statement and sat there for a good 10 minutes just staring at it. You know what I found? I had zero assets. Not one thing on that list was making me money. Every dollar was going somewhere it would never come back from. That was my wake-up call. So here's what I want you to do. Right now, tonight, not someday. Pull up your last month of bank and credit card statements. Go line by line. For every dollar you spent, ask one question. Is this making me money or costing me money? If it's making you money, that's an asset. Protect it, grow it. If it's costing you money and not building toward anything, that's a liability. Acknowledge it. Most people have never done this once in their life. The ones who do it and actually act on what they find, those are the people who start to break out of the rat race. Rich Dad said it best. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Now you know which game is being played. The only question is, which side are you going to be on? Drop a comment with what you found in your audit. I read every single one. And if this hit home, share it, because most people need to hear this and nobody's teaching it in school. I'll see you in the next one.